Welcome back, AfterBuzzers, to the Real Housewives of Dallas after show. Tonight, we are talking everything midlife crisis and primarily butt sex for your birthday. We have all that and more coming up for you next.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey! What's up, party people? Welcome back. I am your host, Erika Edwards, but I couldn't do it without my wonderful, wonderful fellow co-host. Give it up for my girl, Suzi G.
What's up, guys?
The stylist with the most. And unfortunately, Jolene isn't here this week, but she'll be back, people. But stay tuned to the end because we still got that news and that gossip and Twitter, your tweets. All right, so before we jump right into it, because this was overall an interesting episode, it's My Life on the D-List, episode 11. So Suzi, before we really get into it, what were your thoughts overall about the episode?
The episode was a little slow for me. There was kind of a lot going on, a lot of different things, but the whole medieval times kind of kicked off. And it was a little bit like it took a while for them to get into Travis's big birthday bash.
Right.
Once they got there, I mean, the episode, of course, turned wild. I did like the moment, though, between Stephanie and her mother. I thought that was a really great way to see more of Stephanie's kind of personality and where it comes from.
Exactly.
But again, I loved the theme, this midlife crisis, because, whoa, did they show up in some looks?
Yes, they did. And we will discuss those looks when we get to the party. And yeah, like for me overall, I kind of would give this episode like a 3 out of 5 because I do feel like a lot of it was sort of, I don't know, minutia. Like some of it I might even put on the editors because I was like, okay, you all taped how many hours of their lives and this is what you came up for this episode.
I agree.
You know, I mean, especially now, one thing I did, and it was interesting what I guess they chose to focus on. Because let's talk up. I had to go back and watch this twice because it was so quick. But in the beginning, they opened with Brandi and Leanne having like what seemed to be a friendly luncheon, which I found shocking. I was like, wait, are they cool? She's buying her t-shirts. Oh, I mean, I know she was invited, but like I found that very strange. And I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see more of that lunch. I was like, did I miss it? What was going on? What are your thoughts about the Brandi Leanne reunited again, I guess?
I thought it was strange, too, because they kind of kicked off the episode with them. And I was like, what are they doing? They're at lunch. But again, it wasn't that juicy for me. It was kind of like, oh, they went to lunch. What's going on? Because they've had this friendship before where we've seen them getting closer and then they go apart again. So I don't even know what instigated that lunch in the first place.
Exactly. I wanted either like, how did you all decide to go to lunch together? Or I wanted to really hear if this was really a real lunch. Because to me, I felt like in earlier seasons, they got together because Brandi wasn't friends with Stephanie, bottom line, in my opinion. In Erika's humble opinion, but they were, and so that's when she bonded with Leanne. And when she got back to being friends with Stephanie, that blowout didn't seem like they've come back, like they're speaking and stuff. But anytime, there's kind of Brandi's not really standing up for Leanne. Brandi doesn't really seem like Leanne's friend, but for this luncheon. So I wanted to get explain something to me, really.
And there wasn't anything really explained.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just kind of had this luncheon, and I'm like, is there going to be more?
Exactly. And they showed a clip of the restaurant. They showed a couple little drinks, a cute t-shirt, a couple's massage, very nice gifts. Right. Brandi, shout out for that. But exactly, they didn't really reveal very much about either woman. And more importantly, did you all run into each other at this restaurant? Like, how did this even happen? I am so confused.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I'm like, is there going to be more juice with them when they go to Thailand? It just kind of left me, when you say the 3 out of 5, like that whole scene for me was kind of like, what were they trying to do here?
Exactly. And of the kind of throw-ins that they showed, that was one I would kind of have been more curious to see a little bit more of, at least a little bit more of the luncheon, if not the text that said, "Oh, let's do lunch," and the look on the other person's face when they accepted. That would have been fine with me. But just a little something to explain how are we here? Who else is? Why is there no one else at the table? I'm confused by all of this. So yeah,
maybe some more juicy gossip would have been nice,
or something.
Add some layers to it.
Exactly, add a little something. But so then another person I thought was interesting is Cary, and we finally get to see her jewelry collection tonight. And I will say this, you guys. I am taking back some of, not all, but some of what I said about her beads on a string. And I will say that I was pleasantly surprised by her jewelry. Like, now that we really got a chance to see it, I would totally buy some bracelets from her. I don't know about those long chains, but I really saw some really cute bracelets, very much like the ones I'm wearing today. So I definitely will look up online, and if they're reasonably priced, I might check them out. But so I was kind of impressed with that, and it was really interesting, I thought, on a side note, because I want to hear what you think about her jewelry. But the really kind of juicy thing was the whole prenup where you get nothing. Like, did she not have a lawyer? Was she like trying to get? I mean, I don't want to say anything offensive, but like, what did you need, girl, that made you sign that document? I don't understand it. But what are your thoughts about the prenuptial where you get nothing? Like, that seems crazy to me.
That blew me by surprise, because obviously Eduardo has this fabulous home that they all went and traveled to.
Right.
And she does make a reference in the episode that she also came from money, but we don't really know what that is. But I would never... It threw me that she would actually sign a document where if they were to get divorced, that she wouldn't get anything. Because this is her second marriage. It's his second marriage. So you would think that she'd be a little bit smarter, knowing that, like, yeah, he might leave her when she's 55 for a younger woman, and she wouldn't have anything but this jewelry line to kind of back herself up right now.
Exactly. And I mean, I just found that like you said, very fascinating, because one, she had been married before, so this isn't her first time at the rodeo. And I will have to go back and check the facts, but I thought that the first husband she married was kind of wealthy. So yes. I was kind of like, okay, so you already know the game, so why would you be like, no, I need, like, I'm just very shocked that she would even sign anything like that, because at least with a prenuptial, you can lay the terms, like, you should get something. So I think it'll be interesting, because if she's not going to get anything in, if they were to divorce, then she's got to be trying to cash in while they're together, which is really all you have to do. Like, right. Before, you know what I'm saying? Before he makes it to the courthouse, make sure he turns over title to some properties. I mean, that's really...
Have something in place.
Exactly. That's really, you know what I'm saying? Just start taking money out of his pocket and put it in your own bank account. I mean, there are things you can do that...
set yourself up, because I don't know if you can, like, ride the coattails on a jewelry line. And we kind of did put our foot in our mouth a little bit. We both were kind of not sure if we liked her jewelry line, because it didn't look that great. And I'm with you on that. I kind of take that back. I liked the bracelets that she was doing. Some of the necklaces, she had one on that had kind of like a diamond pendant kind of hanging. I thought that the line was a lot better than what I had seen before. Exactly. So I'm hoping for her sake that it takes off, and that she can kind of, get some legs behind it.
Exactly. And ideally, I mean, so many of the other housewives, unfortunately not in the Dallas franchise so far, have taken their businesses to the next level by using this platform. And we certainly hope that for all of them, because it's like everybody sort of, Cameron, Brandi, like everybody has had Leanne, everybody has had a business, and unfortunately it hasn't yet popped yet. But Cary, you could be the one, show them how it's done. So it'll be interesting to see, see how that works. And before we go on to the next topic, Suzi has something great to share with you guys.
We just want to let you guys know that we are so thankful for making us the ESPN of Talk TV. Yes. We are here at AfterBuzz all the time, and the only reason that we're able to do this is through our fans. So if you are on with us right now, make sure that you subscribe, that you comment. We love to hear what you have to say. On iTunes, give us 5 stars. Our socials are at AfterBuzz TV. We come here for you guys because we love to hear what our super fans have to say.
Yes, we do. Thank you guys so much. Give us a thumbs up. And if you're watching right now, you might as well like it, because you're watching now. So just do it. And make comments because we do respond and reply. So please make the comments as well. So another thing that was interesting, we see Cary at a photo shoot with her daughter. And what's so interesting, I think, about this episode, the few things I found interesting, were how important it is for both Cary and Cameron to kind of present this sense of financial stability and how they're really going hard to kind of impress their daughters and look a certain way in their daughters' eyes so that they can grow up to be self-sufficient women. And Cary has mentioned that several times, and she wants her daughter to see her, not so dependent on Eduardo. And I thought that actually was like a good, strong moment for her.
I think so too, because her daughter's also a creative, which we've kind of seen, and I think it's great watching her mom do something like this because she wants to go to school. And I think both of them are really, you saw that in Cameron today.
Right.
She gets a little jealous that her daughter kind of spends more time with Court. And so she wanted to take part and see how, archery works and get involved with it. And I think that that's great because they both are setting an example that they're strong women and that, they want to be strong moms for their daughters.
Yes, and I love that. And I really thought it was cute, the moment between Cameron and Stephanie, and it really seems like their friendship is really growing. And it's nice to see Stephanie with a close friend that's not Brandi. Not that I don't love their friendship, but I think it's like once they're so tight, it's nice to see Stephanie kind of not as dependent on Brandi and kind of being her own person.
Right, I thought so too. And I think it was fun to see that Stephanie was the one that came in to do the photo shoot with Cary because, again, I think it was nice to see them in that environment. They get along well. And, Stephanie, to me, her character is she's one of my favorite housewives across the board. I just think that she's really genuine.
Yeah, I love Stephanie's genuine heart. I think she's very kind. I think she's very generous. And I like that as the seasons progress, she's letting us in a little bit deeper into some of her really troubling things that happened to her in the past. And I know there's been a lot of times where I was like, I just want her to be stronger. And I do really feel like she's growing and getting some of that strength to kind of stand up to people like Cameron, for example.
Right.
Which was so weird to me because I didn't realize Cameron and Cary were that tight. So I was like, why is Cameron telling Cary, the dish on her feelings for Stephanie? I found that kind of fascinating that that's who she revealed it to.
Right. And I think, again, with Stephanie, they keep referring to this surface friendship. And so, again, Cameron brings it up that there's a surface friendship. So why'd I go to the 50th birthday? But I almost feel like this is getting drawn out for me. I'm like, you girls just need to make up.
To some extent, I agree. But then I feel like a lot of this is fundamentally from what I've seen so far, Cameron's personality. So for me, Cameron is just very, very jealous, kind of, I don't want to say high school necessarily, but it's kind of okay, you said you couldn't come to this because you were going to your child's thing. So I'm not going to come because I'm going to my child's thing. And I'm like, wait, what? It's so tit for tat. It just seems kind of juvenile at this point. And Cameron really is the one who's oh, I'm a surface friend. I'm a surface friend. I'm a surface friend. This is just the surface. And it's okay, Cameron, how long, are you going to do this?
Yeah, and I think, too, with Stephanie and her mom, we kind of got an even bigger glimpse of why she feels the way that she does from how her mom was a people pleaser and was always trying to please others and put them in front of herself, which trickled down to Stephanie's personality. So again, I kind of see why she is the way that she is. And so saying that, I do agree with you that Cameron probably needs to be the one that needs to kind of mature a little bit in this.
Well, yeah, because I don't feel Stephanie invited her. Does she have to kiss your butt? I don't see why. I don't see how hard does she have to beg you to come, because at the end of the day, I feel like Cameron doesn't have clean hands either. And part of it is because Cameron was jealous that Stephanie was talking to Cary, which seems like a weird thing to really be angry about to begin with. Right. So it's interesting, I think, sort of Cameron is just very, to me, she seems like she has so much, and then she's still constantly envious of everyone else. Right. And of what everyone else's relationships are. And, and I guess, I mean, honestly, as I say it, I'm like, well, that's kind of sad, really. And I know sometimes I've watched it and she's like, oh, I'm jealous of Court and his relationship with Hilton. And, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, she's jealous of so many people. And it's like you have like what so many people really want. And it's interesting.
And of the husbands, Travis, like we've kind of said, has grown on us and he's matured. But I love Court. And so I keep thinking that. I'm like, you have got a great husband. And you do. She's got a lot of things that everybody would want. But she likes to throw the jealous card. I think she's just got a little immaturity in her.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically it probably comes from a place of insecurity, I would assume. But, you know, but it's something that hopefully she'll grow out of. Now, what is interesting, too, I think, is when we talk about, you know, the families and stuff, because we don't really see as much of her in Court as I would like. But the times we have seen them, like even when she was doing that little pink doggy food thing, I mean, he is like supportive, but kind of like Travis, like, let's keep it real. This is silly or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he was just very like, okay, what? If you want me to invest, you have to really pitch me. And so their whole dynamic is interesting. But what is interesting as well is Hilton, the daughter, because I feel like Hilton is kind of precocious. I mean, she has these little smart remarks, but she's not like Brooklyn, where she's like all out, I hate you. But she has her little moments, but she's sort of still respectful and kind of well-mannered with it. So I kind of like her and dig Hilton, really.
Yeah, I like Hilton a lot. I think that, again, you know, you're kind of seeing that side of her. I mean, she's going away to like summer camp, and she's kind of a little bit of like a tomboy girl. Like, she's going away, they're doing archery. So I do respect that because I feel like they're good parents, and she's not a Brooklyn and has probably grown out of that phase, hopefully, or doesn't get into it, because you do see that. I mean, she's just like a normal, typical kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she doesn't seem very like outrageously disrespectful, even though every so often she's like, you know, looking at Cameron crazy. But what's interesting too,
though.
I know, right? Exactly. Because I think part of it is not that they dislike each other, but part of it is she is a tomboy. So that's why I think she relates so much to the father, because she's not really into the girly things. And Cameron is so like all in pink and all over the top with the femininity. And just the princess is really how Cameron is. And I do feel like she needs to find things to relate to Hilton on her own level. So, I mean, archery turned out to be great. Like, she was missing at first, but once she got into her groove, she totally impressed Hilton, which I thought was super duper cute.
Yeah, I liked that too, because I think she finally saw like a sporty side of her mom.
Exactly. And what I also liked too, which I found really interesting in this episode, was that it was just the mom and the dad and Hilton. Because I think sometimes when you have more than one child, I don't have any kids, so this is just my speculation. Like, sometimes I think it's nice that when the children get their own individual time. And so I really thought that was really cute, especially since she's getting ready to go to camp. We're going to go do this together with her as like a little unit, and, you know, maybe the brothers with the nanny. I don't know. But it was very cute, and I did like that as well. So let's move on to let's talk a little bit more about Stephanie, actually, because, you know, like you mentioned already, you already talked about the moment that she had with her mother. And what I also found about her discussion with her mom to be really interesting was what she revealed about the women. You know, like, her mom kind of grew up poor, or, you know, or not as privileged as, you know, she married up, as we all hope and want to do. So her mother married up, and but the women in that circle dogged her mother, and then therefore dogged their sisters. And it's interesting because I think it sort of parallels some of the issues that Brandi had with Cameron calling her white trash. So I think it's interesting to see these people that have maybe started from humble beginnings and marry into wealth, and then how they are making that adjustment once they get there. And, you know, and now as adults are still being triggered by these same sort of socialite type people in Dallas. So what were your thoughts about, you know, about the discussion with her mom?
I mean, I think just spending quite a bit of time in Dallas, there's definitely that social scene.
Right.
And I think that kind of that scene with her mom was great, because I think it was a little bit eye-opening for Stephanie. And she's like, you know, I'm like you, I always feel like I'm not good enough. Right. And so that's what made me so sad, because I'm like, girl, you're amazing. And so you almost just want Stephanie to feel more confident about herself and more
Exactly.
loving of herself.
Exactly.
Because she's a beautiful human, a great friend, a great mom. And so, but you did see a little bit more background there.
Exactly.
And I liked her mom a lot, though.
Her mom was so
great.
super, super cool and super nice and very supportive. And what I really do like about Stephanie's family is that both Travis and her mom are like, no, don't let Cameron walk all over you. You don't have to like do all of that. If she was really your friend, you wouldn't have to like work that hard. She would be there for you.
And the best thing she said is like, I've learned to just get people out that are not good for me anymore.
Right.
And I think that is a great piece of advice as you get older. Like if a friend isn't doing you justice anymore, just peacefully say your goodbyes and be at peace with it instead of continuing to try and feel bad that it's not, working out.
Exactly. And I really like that Stephanie is kind of taking that stance with Cameron instead of constantly trying to be the one to make it better and to do more. And especially after it came back to her that, she said you're not doing enough. And so then I'm like, okay, don't call her. Don't do nothing. Don't leave it where it is if that's what she feels. And to me, I'm like, you're crazy because this is exactly the party that a surface friend will go to. Like, dude, there's like this country rock stars there.
Fireworks.
Like I would just go for that. So like, why are you not going? Like, you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting anyone else.
I agree because that party looks fun.
That looked fabulous.
So fun.
And it's so funny because I do feel like, obviously we weren't there for their wedding, but I do feel like every year for Travis's birthday, Stephanie just like goes cray cray. And when she's like, oh, this is more than my wedding, I'm like, okay, girl, pull back. Because I'm like, okay, and he gets her some fabulous things for her birthday, but she just goes bananas for his.
Yeah, that was the big 50th. It was great.
Oh my gosh, it was great. And again, we got to talk about the butt sex. So like every time, because I remember when he was like, when they were renewing their vows, he's like, am I getting butt sex? And I remember I was like, I think he's ghetto. And I did think that. And I still think that about the butt sex comment. Although I do love him now. But I was like, oh my goodness. So our birthday's worth it. Is this a thing? Do we have to do this?
Is this something we do on a 50th birthday? That is the question.
Wait, is this something we do on anybody's birthday? Like, why would I have to? Like, I don't know. But
he's trying to use his knight in shining armor day to, or his, it's his day. So I'm going to try to get everything out of it I can, I guess.
It was super cool. So let's talk about his whole celebration. So as you mentioned earlier, on their, she and Brandi, they kind of do like a double date to medieval times. Again, I hate to say it, but just seemed like random footage to fill it up. Because I was like, okay.
I was bored.
Yeah, like, I feel like the only person who was entertained by this genuinely was Stephanie. Because she seemed to like think it was hilarious and think it was so funny and so much fun. And everybody else was like, okay, we'll do it to make you happy. But, why are we here?
No, I would have rather probably taken a nap than go to medieval times on my birthday, but it was fun, I'm sure.
Although, leave us some comments if you're like a true fan, because I don't think I've ever even been in medieval times. So I feel like, I don't know, were there black people in medieval times? I don't know, but wherever we were, I don't think I would even want to be there. So I have never gone to it, so I cannot really say. But it just seemed, it didn't really seem like that much fun, honestly.
No, small fact, I went for homecoming. And it wasn't that fun from what I recall. I don't think if somebody yanked me to go again, I don't think I'd be running back.
Interesting. I can't imagine my dad being like, let's go to medieval times. And I don't even know what I was saying. I'd be like, wait, who are you
eating with your hands in your pretty homecoming
dress.
I'd
be like, okay, yeah, eat that big turkey leg. Let's go for it.
Don't ask.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully you had a good time. And that's the important thing.
Yes, we did. But
okay, you guys.
That was a random scene.
Exactly. Very random, as several of these scenes actually were. All right, so let's start in a little bit about the party and the outfits, which I loved the theme, although I feel like maybe Stephanie should have sent emails or whatever to people to give them some idea of like what she really meant, what her ideas, like these are some suggestions, or here's a link to everything like that people do or something.
Right.
But I loved her. I loved the people that tried to do costumes looked amazing.
I agree. I only have to say that I am a huge Married with Children fan, and I loved Peggy Bundy, and I don't really feel like she was having a midlife crisis. That was like her look.
Right, exactly.
Like Peggy Bundy was Peggy Bundy.
Exactly. I totally agree, and I did not think it was her look at all.
But the costume was great.
The costume was super cute, and I think Brandi's interpretation was interesting. I was like, well, you look great, and I love the blonde wig. Then again, you know, like... I don't know about Playboy bunnies, but the ones that I know are young. They still look, they look fabulous their whole lives. And, I don't know exactly. I don't know how that much that had to do with a midlife crisis, but she looked great. Okay, so here's my thing. People, let me know what you all think.
Yes.
But how is Leanne going to have 85 parties for her wedding, and you got to dress a different way for each one, and then she comes looking like she's going to catch a bus? I don't understand. Like, what are you wearing? Are you at the bus stop? Like, wait, what? And then I was like, are you going through a crisis? Because you look like ridiculous.
And then she like blamed her own kind of like, again, it was almost a little bit arrogant. She's like, well, I'm just so over like all the wedding stuff, took it all out of me, so I couldn't even think about this. And I'm like, girl, all these people dressed up like crazy people for everything you did, and you can't even like put
exactly. You had them looking like hookers at 1 p.m. in the afternoon
on like a Wednesday,
walking down the street. They did that for you. And my thing isn't really even so much that she didn't wear a costume. What were you wearing? I saw what you wore. That was crazy. Why are you wearing a T-shirt that just says like a T-shirt and a little skirt? Like I'm going to
like a weird slogan on it.
Right. Like what?
The whole thing was strange.
Yeah. So I mean, I like her and she's cool, but I was like, or if you're not gonna go by the theme, like if it's an all white party and you're not gonna wear all white, then wear something cute. Like, wear something that's kind of like, looks like you going out. I mean, it is his 50th birthday party. Clearly, a lot went into planning it. So if you weren't going to go with a theme, at least look like you cared. Or, because to me, she definitely looked like, okay, I was a little harsh about the bus stop, but she definitely looked like maybe she's passing through. Like she has someplace else to go.
Right.
Because I was like, like this is just, I'm going to go grocery shopping now. That's how she looked to me. And I was like, okay, you're not even trying at all.
It was like a very day kind of look. If I were going to like a Dallas 50th birthday party and I wasn't going to dress up in the theme, like I would turn out.
Right.
I would look at like
Exactly. I mean, so interesting choice, Leanne. I will say that. Yes. Deandra loved it, killed it. Because to me, it's like, if your mama's an icon, why not dress up like your mama? Mm-hmm. And, it saves you the cost of buying your own wigs. So I thought she looked amazing.
Yes.
And definitely, she looked exactly like her mom, except with, with her nipples showing, or whatever, her titties showing, whatever she had going on with that shirt. But she looked very great. So
that was my favorite. I think anyone who watched it was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
She looked great. She definitely probably didn't need to take out her boobs, but, that's some drinking that's happening there. But exactly. I thought the whole thing was fantastic.
Exactly. The 100K party was amazing. Now, what's interesting too, and we'll kind of go through this a little bit, is the whole, we mentioned earlier about her being drunk and how, and how Leanne just kept going in on her being drunk. And then part of me thinks, I felt like she might have been acting a little bit. I mean, I know she took some drinks and stuff, but she was so over the top, and she kind of came in already showing her boobs. So, like, when she was falling down before and whatever, I legitimately, in Mexico, I really, she was drunk. Now, I think she was just she had a few drinks, but it felt like she wanted to let loose, and I feel like she was acting drunk. What do you think?
I actually agree, because after she fell down, then they panned to her like walking pretty normally and we're gonna go get more shots. So I do think that there was a little bit of a play, like upselling it with the costume, with all of that. So I don't think that she was truly the drunk person that she was in Mexico.
Exactly. Although I do think Stephanie made a good point about she feels like when when Deandra gets drunk, she's reaching out to Leanne. And I thought that was an interesting insight, because even when Deandra, was talking about going and not feeling comfortable because, she didn't want to see Rich or whatever, it just seems like Deandra is still very, very pressed about this whole Leanne rift, maybe even more so than we're seeing of Leanne, really.
I thought that was a very interesting comment, and I picked up on that right on then, and I was like, wow, but it actually makes a lot of sense to me.
It does, I agree.
And so it was just kind of, I think it was a great statement. And I do think that that is a way that she's reaching out to her.
I do think it's interesting. And then, but what's funny is the point that Cary made, that Leanne is kind of putting down Deandra most of the time when she's drunk and kind of dogging her, even like to her face.
Right.
And so it's, even though she may be reaching out to her, it's by no means being reciprocated.
No, she just kind of like you said, makes fun of her, walks away, calls out that she's drunk, that she's too drunk. So again, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
Exactly.
Because, I don't know, they have a weird dynamic right now for me.
They certainly do. They certainly do. And so the episode sort of wraps up with them kind of prepping and packing for Thailand. So nothing like super exciting, really. No. They're just like putting stuff in a bag. And then there's still, again, the one thing I will say that's interesting is they keep referring to this like the JJs and ping pong or whatever. So I wonder if there's going to be a scene like that. I don't know. So.
I'm only hoping so because they have talked it up, and I'm like, I gotta see this. Turtles and ping pongs and
and even Rich was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. So so we'll see, you guys, but we'll talk about it in predictions. All right, so that was our show tonight. So let's move on to our tweets, you guys. Let's see here. All right. So this one is from Mimi Lush. Stephanie is so right about Deandra Simmons drinking in order to reach out to Leanne Locken. Hope they can resolve their differences because they go a long way back. Hashtag RHOD.
Yes.
You can take this one if you would like.
So we've got our bin. The only reason why Deandra Simmons wanted Cary Brittingham on this show this season was to team up on Leanne Locken. I'm so sick of Deandra's nastiness towards Leanne and all of her rude and uncalled for comments about Leanne. Deandra is the real bully here. Interesting. At Rosland83.
Exactly. And that's actually, and it's funny because I actually don't, because I try to sometimes put in tweets that I don't agree with. And I don't, you guys know I don't agree with that. But I do think it's an interesting comment about why Cary's on the show. And then let's move on to the last one here. Stephanie, don't worry about Cameron. If she wanted to be your friend, she would. She is not someone to stress over. I'm sure you have a lot of other family and friends that treat you like you deserve. I totally agree.
I agree with that one as well. It was just the second one. I was like, I don't agree with that.
I know, exactly.
Very interesting. But I like these interesting tweets.
Yeah, I like to kind of shake it up a little bit every so often. All right, you guys. Well, let's move on to some news and gossip with Suzi G.
Yes. Well, the big news, guys, is that apparently if you live in Dallas at this point, you can apply if you are under the age of 50. Right now, they are casting for the Real Housewives of Dallas. So I might move there and apply. Might be leaving AfterBuzz, y'all.
Very much so. And if I leave, it'll be great because, they don't have any black people on that show. So that would be fun. But I'm probably going to stay here and join the cast of Beverly Hills because I like that show too.
And also, it's really interesting because Cameron on her podcast was saying that they are not able to film at a lot of restaurants because the patrons do not want to be on camera.
I read that too.
Really enjoy the Real Housewives of Dallas. And so I thought that was interesting. There are some restaurants that they film in quite frequently, but a few of them have kind of shammed them from being wanting to be in the spotlight.
Exactly.
And the last kind of cool news, it wasn't that cool, but I didn't know this, but Leanne's wedding planner basically was snubbing Cary, saying that she drank too much at the reception, and they got into a big feud over it, which I didn't even know. I don't know. I didn't really think that was happened.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a big thing. I think part of it was from, what I read about it as well, is that Cary was tweeting about, or was constantly going on about how there was no food at the wedding, which there was not.
Right.
And then she was like, well, I didn't see the cupcakes. And then he came with this Instagram post that was like, how can you not see 650 cupcakes? And then, you must have been drunk, I guess, basically. And, so they kind of went back and forth. So it's interesting. It seems like her animosity for Leanne is spilling down to the staff.
Yes. Definitely.
Exactly. All right, you guys. So before we get out of here, let's do, we're going to do some quick predictions for you guys. So go ahead, take it away.
My prediction is that Thailand's just going to be a hot mess. That's all I can say. I cannot wait for a great episode, and I think Thailand is going to be it.
I agree. And I actually think that Cameron and Stephanie are going to go further apart because you're not going to come on my trip and act a fool. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that goes. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And we would love to. You to come back next week. But Suzi G, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at Suzi G Styles.
All right, you guys. And again, I'm your host, Erika Edwards. You can follow me on all of my social media, at Erika, Erika, D as in door, Edwards. Ciao for now, folks.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.